Alright, so we've got our form and it's looking pretty good. Let's test it out. I'm going to select the form. I'm going to go ahead and run it and hit the little play button here. And there's my form. It's looking pretty good. Nice little user interface. But there's not really any interactive elements about it yet. If I go to the drop down, there's no options for me to pick from. If I click the buttons, they don't do anything. So we got to start writing the code. And we're going to take this down into each piece. The first thing that we're going to do is we want to populate the drop down menu with the various sheet names. Trying to make a more interactive method of selecting sheets, navigating the sheets. So we're going to create a drop down that contains all the worksheet names in there. Let's do that one first. So I'll close that form. So now I want to put some code on the form that's going to affect this little control right here. So first off, if I select that control, I want to remember its name. It's called CBO which sheet. Remember that name. Alright, to add code to the form, if you double click on the form, just someplace in the background, that dotted area, this is going to open up what looks like a module. It's actually code that's attached to that form. And right away, it already gave me a procedure, an event procedure. Here I can see it's private, it's specific to this form, it's a sub procedure, it's attached to the user form and to the click event of the user form. Alright, let's think about this. At what point do you want that little drop down menu to be populated with the various worksheet names? When do you want that to happen? Well, how about when somebody first opens the form? As soon as they open the form, that little combo box should be filled up with all of the names of the worksheets. Fair enough? Well, here, if I start writing code inside this procedure, this doesn't happen until somebody clicks on the form. They'd actually have to click it and then this code would run. Well, I don't want that. So I'm going to change it from a click event. If I go up to this little drop down in the corner, these are all the events that you have for this specific user form. So I'm going to change it from a click. I'm going to do an initialize. The initialize event of the form, meaning as soon as it opens up, then the initialize event runs. I'll give that a select. So now I got the user form initialize procedure. Alright, I don't need this click one, so I'm going to delete it. Let's get rid of that. Alright. So now I'm going to write a little bit of code here to get all of the various worksheet names into that combo box. Alright, let's think about this. So I'm going to use a line here. I'm going to say me. Me, the keyword me is shorthand for referencing the form itself. Okay? So when you see me, think of FRM final report or whatever you called that form. Okay, it's just a shorthand, just a keyword that we can use to make our lives easier. So I'm going to say me dot. Now I want to reference one of the controls on that form. I want to get to the CBO which sheet. I'll give that a double click. Dot. Now what do I want to do to that control? Well, I want to add something to it. I want to add a value to the drop down. There is a method inside of the CBO sheet or the combo box called add item. Now, what is it that I want to put in there? What do I want to fill that little combo box up with? Well, I want to put the names of the worksheets. So I could do this. Worksheets 1 dot name. I want to put the name of worksheet 1 inside of the combo box. So go to the form, go to the combo box called CBO worksheet, add an item to it. What item do you want to add to it? I want to add the name of the first worksheet. And then I can copy and paste that, and I can do it 4 or 5 more times. However many worksheets we have inside this workbook. Just changing this from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and so on. Okay? Well, that's nice, but what if somebody adds a 7th worksheet or a 10th worksheet or a 20th worksheet? I don't want to have to do each line and tell it specifically, okay, now add 1, now add 2, now add 3, and so on. right? That's not very efficient. How can we do it more efficiently? I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to use a loop. So I'm going to create a variable here that we're going to use inside the loop. And I'm going to do another do while loop. We'll do do while I is less than equal to the worksheets count. That way we can get all of the worksheets in there. And I'm just going to bring in the I again and iterate that I. This is that whole discussion we had earlier about we need the loop to iterate that value. Every time it loops, it needs to check to see what I is equal to and compare it to the count. So every time it loops, we'll increment it by 1. Now I'm going to take this line and I'm going to put it inside of that loop. I'll just cut and paste that into there. Clean my procedure back up, make it look prettier. Now CBO, me.cbo which sheet dot add item. Now right now I'm adding the name of worksheet 1. If this thing runs right now, I'm going to get a little form. Let's go ahead and run it. Little drop down now, but it's got all the East records in there 6 times. 6 times because we've got how many worksheets inside there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6, but we only got 5 worksheets. That's something we got to look at. But they're all East. That's not what I want. I'm going to close that out. Let's get back into there. I'm going to double click the form again. All right. Dim I as integer. Do while I is less than equal to worksheets.count. All right. Me.cbo worksheet.add item. Worksheets 1. That's only going to give me the East. I. If I put I in there, that will increment each time. First time around, I is equal to what? What is I equal to the first time? Well, you know what? I never told it. I never told it what I was equal to. So you know what? Default. When you tell a variable to be equal to an integer type, if you don't tell it what to be equal to, it becomes a 0. 0 value. So I need to make sure that I tell it that first time this thing runs, I is equal to 1. This way, worksheets I, first time it runs is 1. Then it loops, it iterates upon the I, becomes 2. Then this becomes 2. 3, 4, 5, however many worksheets we have in there. So let's try that again. I'm going to go ahead and play. Here's my little drop down, and there's my 5 records. East, West, North, South, and yearly report. All populated based on the initialize event of the user form. And just a quick little loop to be able to pull all of the names of the worksheets and add them as items into the CBO combo box within the form. So try this out. Nail down this little loop. It's nothing too big inside there, but there's some key concepts. We're communicating with the form, with a control on the form. We're using a method of the form, and we're adding something to it. In this case, the name of a worksheet. So get this part done, and then we'll move into our next block of code.